Arena number 2, we've got Huck taking on Hart.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a rematch here.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this one goes, what sort of styles we see from Hart. He is someone who's been the talk of the town these days. You know, people saying, oh, he's kind of cheesy, he's a little bit all-in. Some people saying, no, I think he's actually really good, he's underrated. You can see his TVP win ratio here at a pretty nice 73%. He's playing against Huck, whose PVT is still well above 50 at 62%. Most of the players you're going to see here today are above 60. That's why they're here. They're some of the best players in the world, of course. Huck looking great in his PVZ earlier. I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to do against Hart here.
Yeah, I mean, Hart, you know, going back even to some of the comments that you made not too long ago where we were talking a little bit about Hart getting kind of a bad rap a little bit, you know, and I remember even in the the first MLG that he had an appearance at, people were like, yeah, top 8. I think actually top 3'd in his first appearance. People were like, yeah, he top 3'd, but he's a cheesy player.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. You know, then the next time he comes back, he plays some really solid matchups. Well, yeah, he got top 3 again, but he's kind of a cheesy player a little bit, you know. And now it's like, okay, Hart's got it going on. And, of course, Huck's legacy is Huck's legacy. I think he probably played, you know, I'm sure he didn't play the best series he wanted to play versus Sleep. So let's probably look for Huck as he looks to the heavens here and says, give me some skills to get the job done. I mean, the point being is that Huck looks like he is very determined and very adamant about having great success at this tournament.
I think he does. I mean, I actually got to hang out with him on the flight and beforehand, talk to him a little bit about his thoughts on this, and it seems like an event he feels really comfortable and confident about. You're so right in that regard. Huck showing some of the best all-in defense in the world as well. So if Hart does go for that cheesy all-in style, I think Huck will be able to hold, you know, 3 out of 4 times probably.
I'm excited for this matchup. TVP coming at you, and Hart has continued to remain consistent in his MLG appearances, and that's certainly a very difficult thing to do with the field of talent that exists here at all of these great competitions. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going live for game number 1. Let's introduce our players here in the southeast position as the Red Terran, possibly looking for some revenge for his Complexity teammate who just went down. It is Complexity Hart. And up here in the northeast as the Blue Protoss, one of the members of Evil Geniuses here at the MLG Spring Arena number 2, it is E.G. Huck.
Indeed, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Hart is going to do because, like I said, he's kind of the talk of the town right now. Everyone's saying, well, everyone has a strong opinion one way or the other. He's an underrated player who's really up and coming. Look at his results. Some people saying, nah, he won't last. He's like Hongen or something like that. He's got the good timing attacks. He's got the good cheeses, but he won't actually be a long-time player. He's picked up by Complexity now. I'm really, really looking forward to see what he's going to do here. We are at close positions on Entombed Valley. Entombed Valley, a map where close positions doesn't mean really close, but as close as you can get.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, what do you think about Entombed Valley and just like the TVP matchup in general?
I think this map is my favorite one to watch TVP on. Maybe Daybreak a little bit better, but here's what oftentimes happens on any map where you have a secondary ramp. You have a Terran player move out with 2 medevacs, stim, and +1, a few Marauders in the mix as well. Usually the factory is floating with this. You've seen Marine King and all of these arenas do this build. It's better than anyone else with better micro. It's very difficult for the Protoss to defend because there's that secondary ramp. The Zealots on top of the ramp can't fight the units on the low ground. If they go to the low ground, they kind of get stuck. So it's an awkward position to defend if you go Zealot heavy. Then if you try to have a third base, you almost die no matter what in this build because you can never get your units into a good position. The Terran's going to have a better concave. You're going to be fighting with your Zealots on high ground versus low ground or low ground versus high ground. It's awkward. It's very difficult to engage. If you can get beyond that timing attack, oftentimes things get better for the Protoss if the game goes that way. But in most cases, almost every Korean right now is doing that build.
We do have the second Rax is identified, and he's not even going to wait to kill this probe before he drops down his add-on here. And that probe is playing Ring Around the Rosie yet again as the Marines is trying to get him.
He actually might be able to get out.
I think
he will.
Oh, denied. So close yet so far away. And he spots pretty much everything there. Great move by Hart. Good reaction. doesn't want to let that probe get out because, you know what, honestly, it is a great kill. That would have been one probe, possible proxy pylon probe that could have, you know, continued to do some scouting around, got himself some additional vision.
Yeah,
so,
or at the very least, they would have mined, you know.
Yeah, sure,
so,
exactly.
Plus, he gets the wall off with this. It's a win-win situation for Hart to get that probe. Huck going up to a second gas. Huck, one of the very few players to do a one-gate expand with 2 gases. He's someone who's done that time and time again. Not necessarily going to be the case in this game, but I think it might be. We see...
Oh, he's going to go with that, with this possible. You know, we've seen this, I haven't seen it too much recently.
It's so
but
old, man. It's an old build,
but you
it's
know what?
still good.
Every time I see it, especially versus these guys that like to go with like a 3-stalker opening, which is not necessarily what Huck did because he built the cell at first. But does he have a third one on the way? No, I mean... No. If he's already got the first Marauder out. Typically have 2 Marauders and like 5, 6 Marines. Concussive Shell's going to finish soon. Did he just cancel and then remake the Marauder? That was weird.
I didn't see, but that's possible.
Either way, this has the potential to do some really significant damage.
This does. The thing, though, is that Huck is actually playing super-duper safe right now. He's actually going up to 3 gates and a Robo before he makes the Nexus, so it's almost as if he predicts that Hart is doing something fishy. He saw the 2 racks, and from here, Huck could be thinking, well, what if he makes a 3rd racks and attacks me? I'm not going to cut any corners here. I'm going to even make an Immortal before Observer. That's how I'm going to play this one out here. I do not want to cut any corners. I want to be super safe. Then I'll get my Nexus up and use my Immortal to be aggressive. So he's playing into Hart's style a little bit here. After scouting the 2 racks, just playing super safe. Gates are finishing, going into Warp Gate mode now. And what will Huck do next?
I mean, Wolf, I just want to reiterate, like, I think it's a great build for Hart to start off on. You know, it doesn't really use that much gas up front. He's now following up with a second command center, you know, basically able to expand off of that while sort of putting the fear into your opponent. And he was holed up in his base for, you know, quite a bit. Now, here, another thing that Hart is so remarkably good at is positioning and thinking about the map and what vision does his opponent has. And we saw him start to snake around the east side of that curve. Now, Huck, very smart to have a pylon there, so he brought it back. But it's one thing that Hart's always been very conscientious about.
You know, DJ Wheat, Huck is doing it all in here.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't really talk about that because we were talking about a lot of different things like that Huck is doing smart here, but it looked like he was going to take a very aggressive Nexus where he has a huge army to defend it, but
you're right.
He's not making a Nexus. Hart has seen this. He has the Marine, not only a spot for the pylon, which he did almost deny, but also to spot that there's no Nexus. He's actually just going to break down the ramp, or at least attempt to. That was a scary moment because you do not want to fight a Protoss Concave with that many sentries. Ooh. Hart is likely going to defend this, though.
Yeah, I mean...
Sim is almost done. He's going to lose the depots, but he will defend this. Now Huck's going to make a Nexus, and this is actually a pretty okay opening for him. Like, he lost nothing. He killed some units. Yeah, Hart's had a command center up for a long time, but he hasn't been able to put it on the low ground. So this is actually a pretty cool trade for Huck. A very aggressive way to open.
Yeah, now had he been able to, had Hart moved out a little bit earlier, maybe taken out that pylon, could have been pretty interesting. We have 1 Marine coming in here to a relatively undefended natural. It's not going to matter, but Hart gets the information that he needed to get, which is, did he go with the Nexus? Yes, he did. And now he's sort of finding himself, regardless of the fact that he's got this second command center, in the same position that he had put Huck in just moments ago. So Huck responding well, and you know, Hart, I think, defending reasonably well, but now, you know, kind of back up against the wall here.
Yeah, he's against the wall a little bit. His dropships are done now. He's going to circumvent Huck's forest fields now.
Was it seen?
It was seen, I think, at the last second.
Saw one of them.
Now he's going to have to send most of his units back. He'll have to move his stalkers back at the very least. He can keep his sentries, though, for force fields. Although he has to be careful because of the second wave of drops come out and kill his units that he's left at the bottom of the ramp. It's going to be really, really unfortunate for Huck. But here we go. This is a double drop. Huck has no units left to defend. He sent his stalkers back. This is going to be a really interesting situation. The bunker's still in play, but the Nexus is being targeted. This is really bad for Huck. He should not have sent his stalkers back, and he's paying for it. Now he has to give up his aggressive position at the front of Hart's base. Hart's now mining at his natural. and Huck lost his natural.
You know, honestly, I think Huck saw the drop, but what he saw was just one medevac, and it was just one of those unfortunate situations. I do believe. He's going to pull out.
Yeah,
and he's going to do exactly what you said he did. Yep.
This is going to be exactly the same thing. He goes back to defend, but then stops, and now he's just pulling all his probes to go for an all-in because he has no other options.
Yeah, all the probes coming down because these guys would have taken him out anyway. And here he goes up the ramp, immediately going to throw up that Guardian
He
shield.
blinks in to target down the bunker, but I just don't think he has enough firepower here. I don't think this will work in a million years. The Immortal gets targeted down. More units rallying out here. The last units for Huck do fall. And his main base is in tatters. He lost production of most of his gateways. He lost power. And he's going to blink in one more time. The probe's adding some extra DPS here, but the SCVs are coming out, and that is going to be all she wrote here, DJ Wheat, in our first game.
Yeah, all of the probes go down. SCVs reign supreme. Most of the ground units were taken out there. SCVs still getting aggressive. Trap that one SCV, take that, but GG comes out of Huck, and such a, I don't even want to... Interesting, I'm not even sure, unusual, kind of unusual game, just based off of the information that each of the players were getting, like, throughout that matchup.
Huck got a little bit unlucky, I would say.
Yeah, I would say unlucky is probably good.
Because
I think that
he saw the drops, right, but he saw only one.
Exactly.
And if you see only one, when you have that many gateways, you can warp in somebody else to defend. If it's two, though, that's too much. And I think he just misread the situation based on what he had seen. But I have to say, Hart did a great job of defending that attack that Huck had made. He had a great job scouting. He had a Marine in position to spot the army. He also had it in position to spot the Nexus as well. It was like a Marine that served multiple purposes. He even sent it in later to see the Nexus is there, if there are any units, and he was like, you still don't have units back here. I'm gonna drop you again.
I might be in good shape.
So, I mean, it was Huck. It was in an awkward position with Protoss. If you do this type of contain, this type of aggressive build, drop play will get you every time if you're not 100% prepared for it. Huck cut some corners, didn't send his stalkers back, and that's all it came down to.
Total Biscuit, Hart versus Huck. Game one easily went to Hart. What do you think?
Really unfortunate for Huck, honestly, when you look at that game. And there's one thing that I did notice in that game was Hart was very actively scouting with a single Marine, but was the unluckiest Marine ever made. It not only did it miss the pylon a few millimeters out of the way, but then it walked backwards just as the army came around the right flank. I was like, this Marine is useless. And it actually gave Huck that really, really nice edge. But unfortunately, that drop comes in. As you pointed out, he thought it was one. What kind of surprised me is that he didn't attempt to warp in a couple of extra stalkers from that pylon. That pylon was actually on the flight path of those dropships. He could have maybe picked one off, or at least had a few units closer to respond to it. But I think against a player like Hart, as you keep pointing out, he has been known for all-ins, known for cheese. You have to play safe all the time. You can't cut corners because he will exploit it.
Yeah. And, you know, he did start with, like, a fairly, well, I mean, you can argue whether or not that's an aggressive opening, right? Going with the quick concussive shell, having those few Marines. It's more one of those builds that's going to, if you catch your opponent with those 3 stalkers in the middle of the map, like, you just probably guaranteed yourself either being way ahead or maybe even a win.
Yeah.
But I also still feel like he didn't perform it in a way that was necessarily like an all-in. So
it was like it's a 2-racks expand, you know?
Yeah,
The player to do this the most, I feel, is actually QXC. He was like the 2-racks expander for the foreign scene. Even after the metagame had shifted a little bit to where TVP was almost always the 1-racks expand, where it is now, QXC was still doing this. You get faster drops with this, and the faster drops really led to Huck's demise. Huck did a very aggressive 3-gate robo push. I feel like he played really safely to start with the Robo coming up, getting the Immortal out first, and made his Nexus a little bit late. But then when his opponent didn't do the build he expected, he wasn't as aggressive. Huck was like, uh-oh, he's had a command center for a while. I think I need to put some hurt on him a little bit here. And that's the moment where things went badly, because if your opponent has dropships out when you're trying to do that sentry contain with Immortals, either the drops go to your main or they go to the natural, surround your forces and kill them, and then you die anyways. So it's a very slippery slope. It's very scary to make that kind of contain when your opponent has dropships out.
All right, well, we're going to be moving on to Metropolis next. This, of course, is Huck's choice. And before we hop into the next game, any final comments, Total Biscuit, about game number 1?
He's just got to play a more solid, safe style. He started off nice and safe, as you pointed out, but then took a risk that wasn't really necessary. Kill a few supply depots, delay that. The thing about the 2 racks as well is that it delays the command center as well. So it's like you've already got the economic edge. You got your Nexus down. You did what you set out to do. Leave a small force there and then just go back to base because Heart will just go for it.
And we're going to find out if he's going to go for it here. Metropolis will be the map choice. This is, of course, Huck's map choice. And I'll tell you what, Huck is, man, he is putting a lot of emotion into these games.
Yeah, he really
like,
is.
just reading his face before every game. It's just, and he seems, just so you guys know, that apparently he does not have his hand warmers. And I don't know if you guys